Hello, and we're live, Dave, and welcome to another episode of What the Tech. I am Rolando Rosas, your host, and today we're going to tackle the virtual classroom and the essential tech devices that you need for your next learning and or for your next virtual learning, as well as what you probably could also use in the boardroom or huddle spaces. So, Dave, joining me, shotgun as always, is my co-host Dave Kelly at a safe and comfortable distance, right?
Absolutely. So, hey,
Oh,
man, I'm really looking forward to today's episode. We'll be speaking about some essential devices for remote learning. We have Peter on the show, but first, let's get into our trivia question.
let's do it.
All right. So, what interesting? So, what year was the first learn distance learning course established? First year.
Hmm.
What year?
Okay.
Wow, way back into the 1700s, 1728, 1858, 1948, or 1998. Wow. I don't even know if I even have a guess. I'll have to think about that one. But we'll talk about that one at the we'll talk about that at the end.
There is a expression that I'm picking up from a good friend who told me I'll have to noodle on it,
Noodle
and
on it.
I'm gonna have to noodle on it. And you know who you are, special friend. I'm borrowing your terms. I'm gonna noodle on it. All right. So let me remind our folks that are watching, our audience, if you like this content, support us by subscribing, getting notified. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and subscribe. You're on YouTube, subscribe and hit the bell notification. We really appreciate that because it shows us how much you support us. We'd love to interact with you today. So if you're on the live, send us your questions. Go ahead, and if it's about what we have, what we're talking about today, go ahead. Or if something else that's on your mind, go ahead, we'll answer it, or somebody else on our team will also respond to your question. All right, so without further ado, Dave, let's jump into our special guest and let's bring him on. um, we're bringing on expert Peter Gasparro of Konftel. He's been with Konftel since 2019 and has worked within the audio and video industry for over 10 years. So that means he's got some experience behind him. This past year, obviously, with COVID, it's allowed him to understand the remote classroom and education space even better. And he has worked with many companies as well as different organizations, schools on their remote and hybrid communication needs. Lastly, you need to know that Peter and his family live in Cleveland, Ohio, where he spends as much time perfecting his golf swing as his two young children allow him to. Wow. I don't know how he finds time for all of that, but I want to ask him. So let's bring on Peter Gasparro.
Hey, Pete.
Hey guys, how are you? Good to
What's
see you
up?
both. What's up,
Likewise,
man?
good seeing you. I
Nice
know
to
it's
see
been
you, man.
it's been a while since we've had the pleasure of seeing each other face to face.
I know we had lunch that one day when I came to visit you, and
Yeah.
I remember I had dinner with Dave before the world shifted, before the world changed.
Who knew what was around the corner, right?
Not me, not me at all. This it's been interesting. It's been interesting, but it's
Uh,
opened some doors for us. And remote learning, something we're going to talk about today,
mhm.
didn't exist pre-COVID.
Yeah, it
Maybe it
was.
did with the trivia question, but I don't
Yeah,
know the
we're gonna
answer.
find out. I have no clue. Ori, thanks for keeping us on our toes today. So before we get to all of the particulars, I want to put this clip out there and get your reaction. This is from John Ebersole. He's a president, or was at the time of this video clip, president of Excelsior College, and they had a forum of different folks that were commenting on distance learning and higher education. I want to play that clip, Ori, and then we'll get Peter's comments on the other side.
Both online learning and international education, and the distances certainly are the greatest in the international arena. I think the opportunities are tremendous. I do not believe that we have in any way, shape, or form reached a level of engagement or participation. Clayton Christensen, who's on the faculty at Harvard Business School, says that within the next 20 years, more than 50% of learning will be taking place online.
There we go. So that was about 10 years ago. And I have no idea where we are percentage wise in terms of distance learning and how much of an uptake that's happened since then. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that and see where we're at today.
Yeah, that's an interesting video. I mean, looking back at that, he was spot on. And if you look at what Frost and Sullivan says, where we're at now with video, they really felt we were going to be there in 2024. So it's this COVID post pandemic has really increased video enabled rooms, video enabled conference rooms, but most importantly, remote learning. More and more opportunities are popping up with schools that need to make the kids feel like they're in the classroom, but at a safe and proper distance, whether they're in their bedroom, in their kitchen, in their dining room, whatever it is. And now schools are able to provide that value to give those students that availability to where maybe there's a snow day that's going away. Now you can do this, you can conduct remote learning wherever you're at. Wherever you're at in your house or in your school, you have that availability to now do it over Zoom or Google Meet or Teams or whatever platform the school chooses on with the right equipment.
I think it's also important to consider that the folks that are using it. In that clip, John continues to go, and he's talking about the underserved audience within the educational or e-learning space is the post-grad students. So the folks that, they've been out of school for a little while, they're married, children, house, job, activities, giving them an opportunity to use these tools remotely to attend, prestigious schools, close that time, but to earn these advanced degrees. His opinion on that was that those are the folks that we need to bring additional resources to, and Konftel is doing that.
Right.
Well, you mentioned something about your the snow days possibly going away. How do your kids feel about that real possibility that there may not be any snow days, where it's just completely yay and we're home?
Yeah, so luckily I have two very young kids that are still in preschool and they haven't done the remote learning side of things yet. So we've been lucky on that side of things. But and I'll tell you this, I've been in countless cafeterias for schools with 50, 60 teachers at a time, talking to them about the equipment, training them on the equipment, walking them through how to mute their mic, how to turn off their camera in between periods, things like that. And I had brought up that, hey, by the way, snow days could be gone. And I've never gotten so many bad looks in my life from teachers, just because that's their day off too. That's a day that they look
I wouldn't have guessed that.
as their day off as well. And not me thinking about it really bothered them quite a bit. But yeah, unfortunately, with the technology that we have, and where we're at, kids can now sit behind a desk and jump onto a Zoom room or a Google Meet room, and their teachers can effectively teach and train during a snowstorm, like we get up here in Cleveland.
I know, and if you live in even out here out east, just outside the nation's capital, it only has to snow about an inch, and they're telling people to stay home. So, but I would imagine on the flip side, not having as many snow days, you get out of, you get to finish the year earlier than later. And I don't know if that's a good thing for parents or not, but I know that's, I guess, a bonus if you can finish school earlier and get with the business of the summer started sooner.
Maybe. Hey, Rolando, what we were seeing out here were they were allowing it, so there were different phases of this entire pandemic, different rules, different strategies. And at one point, they set up virtual classrooms, but they put the high-end Konftel solutions in the school. The teachers would go to the school to use the hardware in the facility, and whenever there was a snow day, when the what do they call it, inclement weather, they were calling snow days because they didn't want the teachers to have to come into the school to use the system. So to all the students and teachers out there that are worried about it, with hybrid learning, with different setups, you can still have your snow days.
Well, I would love to get Peter's thoughts on this. Is and we jump right into the tech discussion piece. So with the way hybrid learning or virtual learning is going, are you seeing that more classrooms are being wired up, or is it that equipment is being provided to the teachers and the educators and the lecturers so they can do that from home, or is it a combination of both?
It's a little bit of both, and there's been a couple different types of remote learning. There is
Okay.
the 100% remote learning where you have a classroom set up, you have one teacher that goes in there, and maybe you had a kid who tested positive for COVID or their parents tested positive for COVID, and you have 20 students. They all join that remote learning, so nobody was in the classroom. Then there's the more popular solution, which is 50%. 50% of the kids come in on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, they do a deep clean. Thursday, Friday, the kids that were at home on Monday, Tuesday are now in the classroom Thursday, Friday. And then the other kids are now at home doing remote learning. So that's another solution. And then there's that hybrid functionality where maybe you're a parent and you don't want to send your kids to school that week, just concerned you were traveling. You don't want to, pass COVID to them and then bring that into the school. They have a permission slip to have them join remotely. So now there's a number of different solutions out there, but with our devices, we've seen classrooms be outfitted. We've also seen mobile carts become created where a teacher can wheel their cart into classroom A, classroom B, classroom
cool.
C. And then we've also seen portable carts where we've had teachers and science teachers and music teachers take their laptop with a Konftel camera clipped to the top of the laptop and an audio device clipped to the laptop and taking their class outside. So now they're becoming mobile with it. And then they have these rental kits that they can take home with them. If a teacher does test positive for COVID, they can take a kit home for a couple weeks and set it up in their home office.
I see. So education is not taking a back seat. And maybe some improvements have come out of this because the disruptions from either to the classroom or to that teacher or that education system, they can minimize those or mitigate those with these types of solutions, no?
Correct. It's definitely improved it just because now if your son or daughter breaks their leg, breaks their arm, and you don't want to send them to school, the school now can provide that value to say, that's fine. They can jump into our remote learning classroom, or since we're already wired up with this equipment, we're going to continue that technology trend of having cameras in the classroom, of having the proper audio device in the classroom. So if somebody is out, they have that flexibility to join remotely.
Oh, terrific, terrific. You know what, Peter? I think that you're opening the door right into what we also want to show people, because you and I and Dave could talk all day long, but the value really is showing people exactly what some of this technology does, how it functions, because some folks are familiar with it, but I would imagine many more are not familiar. So let's show our audience some of the capabilities that they can have in the classroom when you're using your devices. Do you want to start with the webcam, or how do you want to start this?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, typically we have, at Konftel, we are an audio and video conferencing company. We've been in business over 30 years, typically on the audio side of things, but we've added video to our portfolio. When COVID hit, it sidelined my travel. So I was no longer able to go out, visit customers, visit schools, visit boardrooms, visit anything along those lines. So I had to get creative, and I've actually set up my home office to include our kits. And I've done, for the past year, my life has been in schools, outfitting classrooms with the proper audio devices. Now, we've already been in schools before, whether it's Harvard University, Mercyhurst, Slippery Rock, LSU, Baylor, you name it.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Yes.
Go Buckeyes, Ohio State. Looking for equipment, right? We've already been in their administration buildings. Our wireless conference phone is the most popular conference phone that they have, but we've also now opened that door to remote learning. And what I've done is I've been on countless calls with IT directors, principals, superintendents, and I show them this. We do a live demo with them.
Sure, go ahead. Let's take a look at what you got. Look at that.
See what's going on. This is our wide angle camera. This is the most popular camera for remote learning. 123 degree wide angle view. So you put this 8 to 10 feet away from the front of your board, and it gives you a nice wide angle shot of everything. Now,
that looks good.
Schools have to be teaching. They have to be educating the youth. So we're teaching them with our cameras, with our solutions. We are agnostic. So we work with Zoom, we work with Google Meet, we work with Teams, whatever the school wants to bring, we're agnostic with that.
So that means that the equipment is going to work regardless of the platform. If they're using Schoology or anything else for that matter, it'll
Correct.
plug and play right into it.
Exactly right, plug and play. But the big thing that we offer, and what every school has always talked about, is this has to be easy. This has to be plug and play. It has to be easy. Our teachers are anywhere from 35 plus. They're not IT savvy. They don't know how to go in and flip an image, do anything along those lines. So we make it very easy for them. So again, with this wide angle shot, and this camera is very popular in 3rd grade through 12th grade because of that wide angle. But you can see I have this little whiteboard right here. I've actually stolen that from my son and daughter. They'll get it back after it goes away.
They may storm the room.
They do on occasion, but using the remote control provided, I can hit a button on this remote. And again, let's pretend you two are sitting at home doing remote learning. I can hit a button on this remote control and that camera jumps to this location. So if I'm a teacher, I can put a sentence, I can put a math equation, I can put something that needs to go there and jump to that location and make you feel like you're in the classroom with us.
Wow, that's terrific. And that's probably why some of these customers that you mentioned, LSU and Harvard and the rest, are deploying your equipment. Because if you're a professor and this is all new to you, and you've never used, conferencing equipment, webcams and such, but if remote control is very easy to understand, I can see how they would gravitate to these types of solutions.
We can and we've gotten this question from a number of customers. What if I want to permanently install this stuff and put it upside down? Very easy to do, as you just saw me do right there with the settings. So you can easily invert the image. You can set up to 10 presets, which the school really likes to see. So if you want to jump around, maybe you have a counting station, maybe you have a whiteboard, maybe you have a Promethean board. You have that flexibility to do so. We also have a higher end camera that's really designed for science classes because you're going to be using Bunsen burners and test tubes and music classes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
This is a full pan tilt zoom camera. This one gives you the flexibility to move about the room. So you have that availability to show maybe a water table in the back or a locker or a circle time. Again, same thing with the preset functionalities. As you mentioned, Rolando, at the top of the call, I am a golfer, so I do have a golf ball collection.
Look at that.
12x optical zoom. But again, I like to play around with my kids. So from time to time, I will go in and I'll steal their Legos and I'll say, hey, JJ, Addie, I've hidden Captain America. Go and find him. And they'll run into my office and try to find him and give you that flexibility. So this is a live demo that I do not only with schools, but I also do it with any type of conference room that's looking to outfit their equipment, their conference room or classroom with the proper equipment at an agnostic level. So the 3 things, and I'll circle back with this, 3 things the schools were looking for: vendor agnostic, ease of use, and we have to be price conscious. So those are the big things.
Talk about that. I think that one of the things, because we have different people tuning in and watching this, and they probably want to interact and do stuff with the school systems. But a lot of times we hear about how schools don't have enough resources. Are you finding that with COVID that schools are getting resources? I know that there are some school systems that are probably more well-funded than others. I just want to shift the conversation a little bit about from a digital divide perspective. Are you finding across the board schools are getting what they need, or is still a challenge for us schools in different zip codes to get the resources they need to get this type of equipment?
Great question. So, typically we're seeing a lot of ESSER funds being utilized on our equipment, which are available for any school out there. And I was talking to one school, Joliet School District, that says, you know what, we got the second round of ESSER funds. Are we just going to buy more Chromebooks that we bought 6 months ago? Or are we going to upgrade our classrooms with the proper equipment? And they lean more towards upgrading the classrooms, and they outfitted 375 classrooms with our equipment. They created a mobile cart, camera clipped to the top, audio device near that mobile cart for the teachers. And they actually use those ESSER funds, whichever one's available for, to be able to upgrade their classroom. So it doesn't matter if you're a private school or a public school, you're going to be able to get those funds with ESSER funds.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that. And before we go on to the next bit, I just want to remind folks that we've got several videos on essential tech that you would want in the classroom alongside of what Peter's just saying. We're going to put those in the description. So if you're watching us and during the playback, we'll have some links to some of those videos for you so that you can get to those videos as well. And to let you know, Konftel is one of our premier providers. And if you have questions or need assistance integrating some of this tech into your school system or office, we'll be glad to assist you on your journey on that. And just let us know what you need. All right. So we saw some awesome technology from Peter in the way of just cool stuff that you absolutely need in the classroom, especially if you're trying to get your virtual learning on or upgrade that experience. Peter, I want you to just talk a little bit. You hinted a little bit about some of the schools that you've been working on, but let us in on some of those success stories. Like, you know, what were some stories that you could share with our audience where schools in the past didn't have anything, or maybe they had inadequate equipment, and what were they able to do once they implemented some of the stuff that you're talking about?
Sure, absolutely. So we did a case study with St. Jude here in Elyria, Ohio, one of the schools that I worked with the IT director. He was very open with me coming on site, and I went on site and we walked through his classrooms, we walked through his school, and we talked a little bit about his needs and what he was looking at doing. His classrooms, his solutions were very unique because he has Promethean boards, touchscreen boards in one part of his classroom that's new. And then he also has projectors. So he has a couple different case studies that I really like to work with because he had teachers with Chromebooks and he also had teachers with in-room PCs. And we just tried to figure out the best possible solution to get him set up with that. He is a great case study. They did over, I think it was 25 or 30 kits of different audio devices, different selections of what they were trying to do. But you know, a couple months go by and I've talked back with Doug and I went back up to see him to talk a little bit about his administration buildings and now talk about outfitting those conference rooms with our equipment. I had a chance to sit down with the principal and she said during this time, and it was and I'll say cluster F. She said, this was a pretty big cluster F. During this pandemic, you were a shining light. You were the thing that was easy for our teachers to figure out, easy for our teachers to do. And that made me feel good as a person just because we provided that equipment. We provided that solution for them. And we've outfitted thousands of classrooms since then. And all of the classrooms that I've talked to have had that same kind of feedback.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations on that. It does feel good to know the technology side and bring that real solution to an important customer. Good job.
Yeah, it was a good case study, and we've done other solutions. When we're doing other case studies, Joliet School District is another one out of Illinois. They ordered over 375 kits and developed that mobile cart. So there's more options out there, and they're looking at more of a permanent install with this remote learning equipment versus that temporary setup that some schools have looked at.
Hey, mobile carts. So I've seen some companies out there that manufacture mobile carts with, big power cells, different size outlets and things like that. Have you seen those? Have you tried to make any custom solutions?
We've been working, we are agnostic. That's the big thing about us. We are agnostic. We work with ViewSonic, we work with Avicor, we work with Promethean boards, we work with a number of different vendors, and we also work with some mobile cart solutions. So we're starting to develop those relationships and really put together those packages that make it very easy.
That's awesome.
And easy is the thing. And it sounds like from the story that you were just saying a little bit ago that the folks actually appreciated that the tech was easy to use, that the easy to deploy. And I don't know of anybody that wants to be stuck with solutions that are hard to use and professors have to dial all kinds of buttons and things in order to make it work. You don't need a special AT or AV guy to do all this stuff. No, Peter?
Correct. It's been a lot of the directors of IT that have been installing all of this equipment and setting it up. Some schools have an AV team that have done it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We needed to make it easy, and that was the big thing. When I did go on site with a number of schools, and I'm talking to these teachers about an audio device, about a camera, their eyes just light up, because now it's just another thing they need to learn. And when they see how easy it is to set a preset, how easy it is to set up the camera, they're very comfortable with the solutions. And the big thing with St. Jude and Joliet School District is what you saw on the screen with our OCC hub. Teacher just brings in a laptop, plugs in a USB cable, and then everything is ready to go and properly paired. So there's no guesswork. There's no calling in the IT department saying, how do I connect a camera? How do I connect an audio device? Everything is already set up that way. So it was very easy for them to be able to use our equipment in their classrooms.
Well, you just said something easy to use. Now, I'll go back to something for especially those, maybe we have some IT managers or folks that are on the IT side. You know, those folks, you know, we work in IT, but I'm not an IT manager per se, but I hear from a lot of them that, you know, they're up to here with supporting this device and that device. What are the feedback you're hearing from those IT managers after deployment of technologies? Are they finding that they're not have to be on pins and needles with teachers calling them left and right about issues once this is deployed? Because I think that's an important aspect as well to talk about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Our teachers are designed to educate the youth. They're not IT directors. They don't know how to troubleshoot. They don't know how to fix things. Now, some are, but at the same time, and I remember some of my older teachers when I was in high school, they were 60, 65 years old, getting ready to retire. They didn't know how to work a computer. They didn't know how to utilize a camera or an audio device or anything along those lines. So we try to make it as easy as possible for them. A single plugin, automatically kick on your Google Meet, your Teams, your LogMeIn, whatever it is, and your camera's paired, your audio device is now paired. We also give a little bit of a cheat sheet in regards to how do you mute your how do you mute your microphone? How do you turn off your camera so you're not, you know, having a private conversation while a kid is in the classroom remotely. So it gives you that flexibility with our equipment. And they don't have to, and I'll give you a second here, they don't have to call IT every time they want to get something set up.
That's terrific.
Yeah. And you know what? Your clients are lucky to be left in hands of a professional that understands how to put solutions together. They don't feel like they're on their own ordering random things, hoping that they'll work and then having to figure it all out. So having someone that knows technology like Konftel does, helping to lead the way and show them how it all works. That's great. You guys do an awesome job.
And Peter, let me ask you here as we get to the final stretch. I hand the final baton to you about memorable moments. I know the last 15, 16 months have all been pressure cooker with so much going on. What would you say was a memorable moment the last 15 months that left an impression on you and others that you've worked with?
Yeah, it's the big one was probably that principal sitting down and talking to me and saying, you were the shining light at the end of this tunnel during this cluster that was going on.
Was that the first time a principal was ever happy to see you in their office? Yeah.
I'm always nervous going into the principal's office. I still am, but after that experience, I'm pretty happy with it. But there's been, that was a very good little case study that we did, a very good feeling just because it's helping the youth. And that's what's important. Our equipment is helping the youth. In this space, remote learning wasn't a thing until COVID really hit. No one was really talking about cameras in the classroom, audio device in the classroom. So once we saw that opportunity, we put some marketing material down and really started to outfit classroom after classroom after classroom. And it's, been very popular. And the other thing is, with COVID and with this pandemic, more and more people are now comfortable with video. More and more people are comfortable keeping their camera on and having that conversation. And now business owners are saying, don't travel 45 minutes to an in-person meeting. Let's do it over video. Let's give you that time back. So the industry, the business is forever changed due to COVID and due to the pandemic, but in a good way. Now it's bringing people together, and that's, what Konftel likes to do. We bring people together remotely. I can tell you a case study after case study with schools and what we've done. They were all the same. They were all looking for the same thing: easy to use, vendor agnostic, and price conscious. And it has to be that. They can't be teaching and training on the technology while they're trying to teach and train the future minds of America.
Now, you said something there about future. I want to piggyback off of that. So where's the future now? Obviously, we're in the moment right now, which is, classrooms and and people's home offices are getting outfitted with this technology. But what do you see on the horizon that's in the next couple of years that may be game changers, or things that we should be paying attention, or folks that are in the education space should be maybe have their eye on?
I don't think remote learning is going anywhere. I think it's making it easier for people to get degrees. It's making it easier for people to educate themselves with the proper equipment with remote learning. And as we talked at the top of the call, snow days, they're done. If your son or daughter hurts themselves and they can't get into school, they can join remotely. If they're sick, I remember I was sick every now and then when I wasn't really sick. Great. Laptop for 6 or 7 hours.
Log in from the beach.
Yeah, exactly. You go on vacation. My neighbor took their daughter and son on vacation. She had to sit in the house while they were at the beach because of remote learning. It allows you to do it wherever you can. So you have that flexibility with it. And now more and more companies are coming to us and saying, hey, we want to outfit our conference rooms with video-enabled solutions. We want to have that video source so we could see who we're talking to. So the future is forever changed in a good way with remote learning and video equipment.
That's terrific. I love it. I just want to remind those folks that are just tuning in. We've got Peter from Konftel, an expert in the classroom space and essential technologies for those types of solutions. And if you need help, assistance, or other type of consulting in getting this deployed in your organization or classroom, we at Global Tech will help you with that. So I want to thank Peter for definitely bringing us a lot of knowledge, and also to let our folks know we will have some more links to videos that will help you in your journey and understanding this type of technology. So look for those, as well as some of our other videos that we have online. Peter, I want to jump into the rapid fire segment. Every guest that we bring on, we ask them these 4 questions. And
Great.
there are no right or wrong.
These questions yet? Let's go.
No right or wrong answers here. So, Ori, you ready? All right. It's okay. What is your favorite musician or musical group?
All right. If I'm going to a concert, Dave Matthews Band. But if I'm just like listening to stuff on the golf course, I like Eminem, but I also like a little bit of country as well. So Zach Brown Band, Luke Combs. But if I'm going to a concert, I would love to go see Dave again. He's so good live.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to see him live, but he sounds good on Pandora. Once
you see him live, you won't listen to his non-live stuff. Really? His live show is just so good, and I've probably seen him 8 or 9 times. He's a phenomenal live musician.
So you're a super fan. That's like, once you've been to that many shows and tours, you're a super fan.
Yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say.
All right. So what is your right now? What's your favorite app on your phone?
Man, favorite app on my phone. I'm on Twitter a lot. But with how much I travel, Dr. Mario is a very popular app. If you remember that game from Nintendo, it's now available on the iPhone. Candy Crush is always a staple if I'm on an airplane and I want to, let that plane go a little bit faster. I'll dig myself into Candy Crush for a little bit. So Twitter, I'm probably on Twitter the most, just looking at what's going on with sports and trends and video conferencing and things like that, just to take a peek at.
All right. So we got a collection of favorites. And then favorite food.
Oh, you know what? I was just thinking about this, and I was talking to my wife about it. My favorite food, it's so hard because I just like everything. And my wife absolutely hates it because she's like, where do you want to go to eat? I'm like, I don't care. I can find something on a menu. Let's go where you want to go so you can get the right food. And also, I go out to eat a lot. When I did travel for work, Dave, we went to the one place, I can't remember what it was called.
Great seafood place, Moonstones.
Moonstones, yeah. And then me and Rolando went out. She's like, this job is wasted on you because you don't care about food. You don't care about going to the I've eaten at Giada in Vegas. I've eaten at Hell's Kitchen in Vegas. If I had to put a favorite food on there, maybe Chipotle. big burrito.
It always works in a pinch, man. It's you're
Yeah,
like,
big
oh, I'm so hungry,
burrito.
and now that they deliver too, it's even better.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I go
all right,
Chipotle.
Chipotle. All right, I give it that a thumbs up. I like Chipotle. And lastly, what's your preferred? This is a multiple choice. What's your preferred method of communication? Is it email, text, phone call, instant message, or DM?
Text is probably the easiest, just because if I'm in a meeting, I can always try to respond with the text message. A phone call is always very easy. I take up my little audio device on the golf course with me when I can, so I can answer calls remotely and walk around with it because it's Bluetooth. I'll bring it on the green. Texting's probably the easiest though.
Oh, texting. Okay, so you're more on the text side of things. Text.
Yeah.
Texting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, if folks want to follow you, Peter, where can people go to? You said Twitter. You're on Twitter?
I am on Twitter. Yep. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to connect with me. I think that's what the kids say nowadays on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me there. I'll put out some case studies that we've done. I'll put out some new products that we've launched on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. I'm on Facebook.
What's your link? So on
What's
Twitter?
your Twitter handle?
Thank you.
Twitter handle is @Peter Gasparro. And then my LinkedIn is Peter-Gasparro.
Okay, we'll add those in.
I'll send you the links.
Perfect. So we'll add those in post for those folks that are not watching us live. All right. Well, Dave, it's that time again. Before we go to the trivia question, just to remind folks to follow us if you like this content, you want to see more of it. Support us by hitting that like as well as subscribing. You'll get to see some nuggets that we don't play on air by being part of the club. And let's keep that conversation going offline if you have other questions. We have a whole team of folks that will be here and available to answer all your questions, tech related, whether we're talking about webcams, classrooms, headsets, or otherwise. So
Yes.
let's go ahead, Dave.
So yeah, we welcome everybody to come and engage with us any way that you can. The trivia question, when was the first distance learning course established? So I'm going to throw this over to Pete, our expert.
What do you think? Yeah, Pete.
I want to say 1948, and I think that's when there was a war, and maybe they needed to do remote learning for safety reasons, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it would be possible prior to then, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure I'm 0 for 2 on these trivia questions.
I'm going to go way back in the day. I'm going to go all the way to the earliest, 17 something or another that I saw. Let's see if that...
Something sent up to a satellite and bounced back down,
or by mail. I don't know. Who knows? There were books probably being sent by the ocean or something like that.
Picture of yourself thrown in a bottle.
Oh, there we go. The earliest recorded distance learning program was in 1728 when Caleb Phillips advertised a course. There you go, Dave, in the Boston Gazette.
Beautiful.
About a new method of shorthand where lessons were sent by the mail. That's it.
Wow, that is awesome.
All right. Yeah, I knew it had to be something like that, like mail in and, Pony Express and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was getting hung up on the video side of things. I'm so 2000 and now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But no, that makes sense. Send out a book by mail and have people do it. That's remote learning. That's what it is.
That is. Now we have the cameras and the microphones and we're all wired up. So anything else before we go, Peter, that you want to let our audience know before we roll on to the next thing?
No, thank you both for your time. We at Konftel, we do live demos all the time. You can find a live demo or sign up for a live demo on our website. Feel free to go to konftel.com. It'll kick a little side window that will allow you to schedule a demo. We also work project-based pricing with Global Teck, and we also have a 2-year industry warranty on our portfolio.
Well, and that's also
awesome.
Key because not everybody's got a 2-year warranty on their gear. So
and you guys at Global Teck actually get a 3-year.
That's right. So if you come through us and we work on this project with you, so if you're watching this, we will get an extra year of warranty. So you're covered beyond your current budget and the next budget and that third budget cycle. So you won't have to worry about stuff breaking on you and having to go buy some new stuff. So Peter, thank you for coming on today. We want to thank everybody at Konftel that made this happen and pulling this together for us. It was fun. It was a blast. We want to bring you on again on some other topics. And maybe if you got some future stuff coming out, you can also, let us know and we'll bring you back on and you can show us some more tech gear.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk about anything remote learning or video conferencing, anything in the video conferencing space. We do have a new audio device coming out, so stay tuned for that. We'll send it out when it comes out.
All right, I'd love to bring you back so you can demo it. I love that demo. I mean, we could do more of those. So, thank you, Peter, and thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you on the next episode of What the Tech.
Great to see you, Pete. Bye.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It was fun.
All righty. Bye-bye.